Welcome to the Empowered Embodiment Revolution, where women leaders reveal how to liberate yourself from body battles so you can follow your heart, own your power, and shine in the world. I'm Darlene Downing. I am your host for this event, and I am thrilled to be here with you today. I have with me the humorous, authentic, and inspiring Marti Murphy. I really love how Marti has personally committed to shifting what she describes as mediocrity to consciously choosing an extraordinary life, and how she's now the invitation for others to do the same, inviting us to embrace our lost dreams and desires, rekindle our life spark so we can create the life that we long to have. And I'm going to go into her official bio here. She is a former corporate captive, I love that, certified EFT practitioner. And she was on the staff as a certified Gabriel Method coach in the Body Positive program. She's passionate about helping professional women move from harried, buried, and burnt out to excited, inspired, and invigorated so they can empower themselves to take the big leap and leave the job they hate for the work they love. Marti joins us here today to share her love and passion in empowering women as we dive more deeply into the topic of forbidden emotions, your hidden power. So welcome, Marti. I am just thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you, Darlene, and thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, too.
Oh, I go over to you. There's your beautiful face. So before we dive into what you have to offer about forbidden emotions, which I'm really curious about that, and I can't wait to hear more of your wisdom on it, I'd love to start the conversation off by getting your definition of empowered embodiment. What do you feel is empowered embodiment?
Well, a little bit about my history is having had an eating disorder and feeling so disempowered about my body and actually hating my body at various times. To me, it is stepping into this place of complete self-acceptance about exactly how I look, feel, and show up in the world, and to step into that in a very powerful way. And I also believe that the components is to embrace my femininity with that, and yet know that I can find the balance in myself. And I really think having a positive self-concept is so much about empowerment. And whatever form, we all come in all shapes and sizes, and I know for myself I could give you a litany of all the parts of my body that I hated in the past, and I can honestly tell you now I love them exactly as they are, and that feels so empowering to me, knowing the battle that I had so long against my body.
Yeah, share with me just a little bit more about that. When did that start, and what was it that was like, I'm not doing this anymore, something's got to change, that had you to this place where you can love all those parts of you?
Well, my eating disorder started early in life. I was probably around 16 when I first started what I call practicing it, and it was just so debilitating to me. And what happened for me is, I went on a long time with it, over a decade, probably close to about 15 years. And what happened is I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I think everyone reaches that place differently. And I just knew, I was like, I can't, I was terrified that this was the rest of the way my life was going to be. I felt completely powerless. I had tried so many different things. But then I also had this hope that maybe there's one last thing out there that can help me. And I think when I finally got to that place of being so sick and tired of being sick and tired, I just committed in a way I had never committed to myself before, that I would do whatever it takes to overcome that. And I started on that path, and it was a process, absolutely a process, and it's come to me over time. And I feel like, I'm 52 years old now, and I feel very good about where I'm at in my life. And I even, do I see that I've aged? Absolutely. But I see changes in my body, but I embrace my body in a way I never have, and myself, and I love getting older because there's so many things
Oh,
about it I love. I love the wisdom that I get, and I love the lines on my face because they talk about so many, and the changes in my body. I'm like, I'm a woman now.
ah, thank you for bringing that to the conversation. You and I are the same age, and I feel the same way. I feel that there's this point that you can come to on this path being a woman where we're bombarded with you're supposed to stay youthful looking, and that's the holy grail, right? And so you either choose plastic surgery and you choose all these other ways of making sure that the outside still looks young, or you say, well, what else is possible here? And I, like you, have seen changes in my body, and I have never felt more comfortable in my body in my life. I can look back at pictures when I weighed quite a bit less, and maybe I was a little more toned. It was in my exercise bulimia days, and wow, what a gift to say I just feel fantastic in my body. And it was not overnight either. It was a journey. Yet to get to the other side is so, so sweet, don't you think?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And I think back then how I felt, I couldn't believe that I feel the way I do now, that I would ever get to this place. And in this very body conscious, appearance conscious world, like you're saying, talk about empowered embodiment is feeling at 52, feeling the best I've ever felt in my life about myself in every way. It's tremendous. So,
Yeah. The feeling that's that sense of power, and that not separating any other parts of yourself, right? Just being
yeah,
you.
right,
Yeah.
right. Yes. Yeah.
So, so great. Well,
Great.
I would love to talk now a little more about a topic that I know is near and dear to your heart that we prefaced before, and how that has been supportive in your body journey, and also you in following your heart, and really being empowered in your body and shining your light in the world. So you want to tell us a little bit more about forbidden emotions, and yeah, how
Yeah.
they can support us?
Yeah, I would love to. I am a firm believer, and this is my personal belief, that unconsciously we have emotions that we have dubbed forbidden. Don't feel them, stuff them. Big part of my bulimia, myself, and my eating disorder was I was stuffing feelings. Feelings that anger, rage, shame, guilt. They're dubbed bad, they're dubbed forbidden. I think if we get it from all sides, if depending on religion we're raised in or just our upbringing, we're like not supposed to feel that way. You get cut off from those parts of you. And I am a firm believer that we have all these feelings for a reason. So it's really been a part of my journey, and the biggest part of what I would call my recovery from my eating disorder was embracing all of these emotions. And I can tell you, when I first stopped practicing my eating disorder, rage was the emotion that came up for me, and I was terrified of it. And at that time I didn't have the tool that I have now, tapping and some other tools. All I knew to do was take a baseball bat to a mattress and try and get that out, but I had the confidence enough to know that that was coming up for a reason, and I was very clear that that had been the culmination of stuffing anger over the years. So, of course, when I took the lid off of it, bam, it came out in that way. And I don't recommend doing that, taking a baseball bat to a mattress, because I torqued my neck a few times. So I definitely have a much better technique for doing it. But first of all, it's like anger, rage, shame, guilt, jealousy. Oh, don't feel jealous. We deny that we have these feelings, and they stay stuck in our body and in our energy system, and they manifest in all kinds of ways. Protection physical protection around our bodies. They show up in stress, in our neck, all parts of our bodies. I have found this with myself and in my own practice, when we give these emotions full flower in a safe way, in a very constructive way, it is absolutely liberating to feel all of these emotions that we're told, don't feel that. I mean, if you think about it as a child, and if you're feeling angry about something and somebody's telling you, oh, don't do that, or it's embarrassing, or put that away, or you're shamed into not feeling something that you're genuinely feeling, it gets frozen in us.
Yeah.
And to me, our hidden power is allowing for rage, allowing for anger, but having a healthy, productive way to do that. Nobody gets hurt. You do it in a healthy way, and you free this. To me, we free this poison from our body that we've stuffed down, and it allows our lives to change.
Yeah, I love that you're bringing this to the conversation, and particularly with women. The good girl doesn't get mad. The good girl doesn't act out. You're not going to be loved. Oh, just be quiet. And that we literally store that energy. It's an emotional energy that is stored in the cells of our body, and that it's eating away at our life force energy. It's like taking up space. And wow, like to have permission to feel it in a safe way that isn't going to harm anyone else, is going to allow us to release it from our system so that we don't have to carry it around, and our poor bodies don't have to carry it around anymore either.
Right, yeah. Well, if you think about it too, Darlene, those emotions leak out anyway. And then our self-esteem takes even more of a hit. So if we're trying to deny, like you're really upset with somebody, you're really angry with them, and you try and deny it, and you try and pass it off too quickly. Well, they're doing the best they could. And if we go to that place too quickly, again, it's more like denying the feeling. If we allow for the feeling and let it move through us, and I've heard that emotions take about 90 seconds to move through us, and I think it's true, then we're able to go to more of a place quickly of, say, maybe forgiveness for somebody that somebody did something. It's when we hang on to it that it's going to leak out. At some point, oh, I'm being the good girl, I'm being the good girl, and somebody says something, and bam, something comes out of your mouth, and you're like, oh, wow, I used my outside voice for that.
Yeah.
I thought my inside voice was gone, but that actually came out. And you might feel like you said something hurtful to somebody, and then you end up feeling bad about yourself because it can't help but just.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, what do you think that we avoid these emotions? Well, first, we've been conditioned that we're not supposed to experience them. And then why else? I've had some conversations with friends who are afraid that if they lift the lid off, that they're going to get lost into the abyss of all this lower energy. Has that been your experience yourself, or that you see?
Oh yeah, I definitely. It really, my memory of it wasn't so much for me because I had this sort of conscious awareness that I need to feel this. I remember one time I had a gentleman tell me, I was talking about feeling angry when I was first, I'll call it in recovery, and he was like basically chastising me for justified anger. And I remember in that moment I knew I need to feel my anger. That's been my biggest challenge, is I haven't allowed for it. And I wasn't even clear, exactly how I would do it. So I had that conscious awareness that I actually have to allow for this. I can tell you wholeheartedly, with many clients I work with, I have to assist them in understanding that it's okay to feel these, and I don't push anybody anywhere they're not ready to go, but I suggest that just to entertain the idea that maybe by allowing for this you can liberate yourself. And this is a question I always ask clients: if you could put all appropriateness on the shelf, you can pick it up anytime you want to, being appropriate. And particularly if they're angry with someone, I'll say, what would you want to tell this person in this moment? It is amazing what people say. When they somehow in that moment they allow themselves and I call it to give full flower, and they spew out whatever they need to do, and they're like, whoa, wow. And my take is that is in us anyway. It's rumbling around inside of us anyway, better out than in. And that's how I talk to clients about it is it's in you anyway. It's rumbling around in here, you're just denying it. I have yet to have a client that hasn't said, wow, this feels exhilarating to finally say what I've been feeling and put words to it. I will have people that go, oh, I feel a little guilty saying this, but I have a technique, you know, we tap through, even though I feel guilty saying this about this person. So there's all kinds of ways to help somebody keep feeling safe as they go into these emotions. And it is, I've found it with myself and with clients, it's absolutely liberating.
Yeah, I love that we're having this conversation. And I know my own personal journey, I was one that would put on the happy face and pretend that nothing was wrong when deep down inside I was just pushing stuff down, and felt guilty about feeling anger and shame. And when I finally was able to just allow myself to feel it, I felt like I was able to get all of me back, like that we have access to all these emotions, because then what I found when I wouldn't allow myself access to the lower vibration emotions when they were there, just letting them come up, that I was just showing up the same way over and over again, like this pattern. I didn't have available to me all the other energies that I could be choosing.
Right. That I think you brought up such a great point too, that piece of you brought back all of you. It's like you become more of a whole human being. And because I noticed for myself when I first started, like when I would start speaking up for myself before I, you know, figured out a better way to do it, it was always sort of like I was just biting. So I'd go from being that nice, I call it the, you know, the happy face that's, you know, and behind it is a lot of anger and sadness and that. When I would allow for myself to try and, you know, like speak my mind, it came out like I felt like I just did it in this way where I felt like a jerk because I wasn't really feeling into that feeling place. And what I find now is I'm so much better able, it just sort of blows my mind sometimes. I can be very direct with someone. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I could have come unglued on them, and I was like, you know, here's my piece. I stated my piece very directly. I didn't have anger about it. It was just my truth. And it was like, you know, I hung up and I was like, wow, that's so great. I'm finding integrating more into myself. I could state my piece. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel like I was a jerk about it. I stood in my power and I said it and I moved on. And I didn't want to punish them. Nothing. It was just like I was free. That is so liberating.
Heck yeah, is it liberating? Oh my gosh. And you know what came to me when you were talking is, you know, if you've given yourself the space to feel whatever you're feeling, it's not this trigger where it, like you were saying before, where it shows up in times when you don't want it to show up, like when you use your outside voice instead of your inside.
Right.
You know, I love that expression. That's so great. So you work through it when it shows up. You let it out. So then, when you are direct or you're standing in your power, you're not coming from a place of reaction. You're coming from a deep centeredness and knowing, like, your own truth, and that comes across so much more powerfully and it feels very different to. I know when I do it, it feels very different to me. That way.
It's huge. It's huge. And that, to me, is that, you know, empowered embodiment. It's like, you know, I feel this. I'm entitled to my feelings. I don't want to make anybody feel bad about it. Their reaction is theirs. There's nothing I can do about that, but I just got to say it for me. That is like, wow.
That's huge.
So,
thank you for sharing that. So, and I know that you love your work is really assisting people in finding what lights them up and getting out of work that they hate to work that they love. So what we're talking about here, empowered embodiment and what wisdom you have, how do you see that would be supportive in them really going after what it is that brings them alive?
Well, I think when we get, it's kind of like I call it getting out of our own way. So when we can start stepping into our power and doing that and be, embody who we really are, we're not going to settle for jobs that deplete us or work that depletes us. When we start valuing ourselves more and standing in our power, we're going to look at something and go, wow, that's not working for me anymore. And, it might take us some time to figure out what the game plan is to get there. But I mean, I think about it this way. If anyone on the planet, as more people on the planet step into doing work they love, saying yes to themselves and going, I deserve this and I deserve to have this whole life. I mean, I think for many of us that work, we spend so much time and energy doing that. So if we actually can say, you know what, that's not working for me anymore, and I want to start coming up with a plan to move into something that I love, think about, to me, how healing for the planet that is. And the other piece of that I think that fits with this particular summit is, if you think about it, if you're staying in work that is not serving you and you're just doing it, it pays the bills, but it's a grind for you, that you think about the stress and pressure on your body. And I'm not a scientist by any means, but I know that different stress hormones get released when we stay in a stressful state that can actually allow our body to hang on to weight, or, keep stress that actually debilitates us. That is instrumental to me. So as we empower ourselves and say, I'm worth more and I want to do work I love, that's a whole life change. I mean, that brings into whole life, my personal life, my business life, all of that. It gives us, it talks about what the piece that you talked to, we become more whole human beings. We deserve every area of our life to be as we want it to be.
Right, like why do we have to compartmentalize our work as something that isn't supportive of all of our life? That why can't it be supportive of all of us and our bodies too? And you're so right, like you're doing something that you hate. If you get mindful of what you are feeling in your body, your shoulders are tense and you're not breathing properly and your heart's racing or your stomach is churning, and that's all this yuck energy that your body is dealing with, because you just don't want to be where you are. And for me too, I mean, I know when I was asking how am I meant to serve in the world, when I'm in alignment with what I'm really meant to be doing, my body is just singing, and it is, yes, my heart's, woo, let's do it, even if it's something new, and I won't call it scary, but something I've never experienced before. It's still like, oh, let's try this,
Yeah.
It makes me feel alive and invigorated, and I know that my cells respond to that in my body, so it's only been helpful to me with feeling great in my body too.
Yeah, that's huge. It's huge. They're so all interconnected.
Yeah, I love that you're doing this work and that you are having people say yes to themselves and do what they're meant to be doing, because I hold that vision with you. What if we all were just loving what we were doing?
Yeah, what a planet. Yeah.
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 Well, tell me more, like what are the basic forbidden emotions, the ones that show up prevalently, and then if you would like, would you walk us through a way to transform those and move them out of our system?
Yeah, absolutely. So the ones that come to me most, which are the first ones that I felt, was, I'd call it rage, which rage and anger to me can be interchangeable. But for me, it was so palatable. It was like, oh, I felt like, a volcano exploding. But I had a lot of programming about don't feel anger, which makes sense that when I finally allowed myself to feel it, I felt like a volcano, because it was like, don't feel that, don't feel that, don't feel that. And then, of course, boom. It's like a pressure cooker. You take the lid off too soon and ping. And then I would feel guilty that I would feel. It was just this like interchanged emotion. So I'd feel anger or rage, then I'd feel guilty, then I'd feel ashamed of myself. And to me, like, shame is huge. Shame is so potent. If you think about somebody actually feeling deeply ashamed of themselves, and again, to me, if it's not allowed to be felt in the moment, it becomes this deep embodiment of shame. Instead of, shame's good. Shame lets us know, probably shouldn't have done that. But when we grab onto it, it's almost like we become shame, we become anger, we become rage. Feeling jealous of someone, that's like, oh, don't admit that. Oh, I'm jealous. Or, oh, let's say I'm envious. Let's find a different way to say it. That to me seems to be forbidden too, instead of like, you know what, I want what they have. They're a great barometer to me for I don't have what I want in my life. You know, finding more positive ways. But again, when we're denying it, it becomes so potent that we can do, you know, have hateful thoughts about somebody, or, you know, if something happens to someone we admire that's not so great, we're kind of like, ooh, I'm a little gleeful about it. And to me, that all comes from that place that we are not feeling the emotions at the time they're coming up and feeling safe about feeling them. So rage, anger, shame, guilt, the jealousy, those to me, you know, discouragement, despair, disappointment, you could lob all those into a group and say, yeah, try and not feel it. Try and avoid that. The other piece of that, I think, is this idea of, I think law of attraction has been a little misconstrued, that I think it's happy thoughts, happy thoughts, happy thoughts. I think that's awesome, but if we go to that too quickly, it's like happy thoughts through gritted teeth, because
Yeah.
we're not dealing with the core emotions or feelings that are coming up for us. So when we deny it, it's happy. I think it's happy thoughts through gritted teeth. I mean, I've met people like that. I've been that, where I'm like, oh, I'm so happy for you. I'm like, no, I'm really not. I'm freaking pissed. You know, whatever it is, I'm not happy. So if I could acknowledge that, you know, I'm jealous right now, and I tap through that, then I'm like, you know what, I really am happy for you, because I see you're embodying what I want, and I can get there too.
Yeah. And jealousy and happiness, they're two different energies that can't hang out together. So it's like you got all this jealousy and you're trying to slap some happiness on there. It's
Right.
just not.
Yeah. Right. It's not working for me. Yeah, my teeth are, you know, my veins are popping out the side of my neck. Yeah. So those are the emotions I think of. We're like, ooh, wait, ooh, oh, anger, rage, don't do it. Don't go there. You know, it's going to take you down into an abyss you're never going to come out of. Instead of like, wow, I felt angry, but it moved through me.
Yeah.
And a technique that I use, I'm a tapper, EFT, emotional freedom techniques. I find it so potent. And I'm a particular lover in tapping of, especially for this piece, forbidden emotions, rant tapping. So, and it'd be like what I tell clients is just tap through the points. But I want to start with the karate chop. Just tap through the points and rack tapping and just tell the story. I'm so angry. Oh my God, I'm so mad at them. You know, I have a joke, but there is a lot of truth to this, and my husband could confirm this. When I first started tapping and I was upset about something, particularly angry, he'd just see me. I'd beeline, for whatever reason. I felt like I needed to go into the laundry room and do it. So I'd go into the laundry room like, "Arr!" He's like, whoa, you know, Dr. Jekyll's walking in the laundry room, and, you know, Mr. Hyde's coming out. I'd go in there and I'd rant up, oh my God, I'm so mad. And I just allowed for the feelings. My requirement is that you tap while you're feeling it. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's like doing a great yoga class. I was like, what was I so angry about? So I'd walk out, and he's like, totally different woman. And he's like, okay. Now he was like, oh, just let her go. Let her go. Don't stop her. Let her go. She'll come out so transformed. It's so effective. It kind of, you know, I had to pinch myself too. I'm like, really? This is changing me. Really?
Yeah. I love it. I'm a firm believer in tapper, and I've never used that focus of really, letting the emotions come through and letting myself feel it. And I just love that you're bringing that to this work, and what you're sharing with people. It is truly liberating, and move it out, and then you're ready for something new. And you have acknowledged what you're feeling. You didn't say, "Oh, I don't feel that,"
Oh, right. Yeah, you're gulping it down. Exactly. So, yeah, right.
Do you want to take us through a tapping?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to do so you get a sense of what rand tapping is, but I'd just like to walk through the main points. And well, let's deal with anger because I think that's really potent. So I'm going to start with the karate chop, and I'll walk us through that. And then I'll go into some rant tapping because I think this is essential. And I skip it sometimes with doing the rant tapping, but this, to me, when we tap on the karate chop, and for anyone that's watching that's not familiar with it, we tap on the karate chop, and the idea behind this is called the setup statement. So we're just saying, I have this emotion, and I accept this about myself. We are so not taught that. So this is a way to just sort of say, and so we would go like this, even though I have this anger, and you'll be my mirror. And repeat
Even though
after
I have
me.
this anger.
I choose to accept myself anyway.
I choose to accept myself anyway.
Even though I am so angry.
I am so angry.
I want to scream.
I want to scream.
I deeply and profoundly acknowledge I feel this way.
I deeply and profoundly acknowledge I feel this way.
Even though I'm so mad.
Even though I'm so mad.
I choose to love and accept my feelings no matter what.
I choose to love and accept my feelings no matter what.
And then I go to the eyebrow. I am so mad.
I am so mad.
I'm so angry about this.
So angry about this.
Why did this happen?
Why did this happen?
I'm so angry.
I'm so angry.
Why did they say that to me?
Why did they say that to me?
They were so insensitive.
They were so insensitive.
And under the arm. And I'm angry at them about it.
And I'm angry at them about it.
And then top of the head. I'm so angry.
I am so angry.
And then here I'd go into the rant tapping. I can't believe them.
I can't believe them.
Oh, I'm so mad.
Oh, I'm so mad.
Good mirror. Under the eye. I'm crawling out of my skin.
I'm crawling out of my skin.
I am so mad.
I am so mad.
And I feel guilty that I'm mad.
And I feel guilty that I'm mad.
But better out than in.
But better out than in.
'Cause I'm angry anyway.
Because I'm angry anyway.
And at least I'm acknowledging it.
And at least I'm acknowledging it.
I'm not getting in their face.
I'm not getting in their face.
I'm doing this now by myself.
I'm doing this now by myself.
I'm acknowledging my anger.
I'm acknowledging my anger.
I am angry.
I am angry.
But I'm already feeling better.
I'm already feeling better.
'Cause I'm giving my anger a voice.
Because I'm giving my anger a voice.
And what if by giving my anger a voice,
And what if by giving my anger a voice,
I can move through this quickly?
I can move through this quickly.
I don't have to hurt anybody with it.
I don't have to hurt anybody with it.
And most of all, myself.
And most of all, myself.
I'm releasing this feeling.
I'm releasing this feeling.
So it doesn't stay trapped.
So it doesn't stay trapped.
And I can feel better all the way around.
And I can feel better all the way around.
And I don't have to take it out on anybody.
And I don't have to take it out on anybody.
I'm releasing my anger now.
I'm releasing my anger now.
And I see that my anger's okay.
And I see that my anger's okay.
Because it's just a feeling.
Because it's just a feeling.
And then take a deep breath.
Wow. That's potent.
I found it to be very powerful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you bet.
And I wonder, like, even if you don't think you have anger, yet there could be some there. If you just went and tapped on it, would anger surface that was there to release?
I've found that to be true, especially if somebody's got, I think most of us have suppressed anger. I don't know how we could live on this planet and not have it because of all the, the stuff around being angry and, oh, it's not okay. I think as people, if it doesn't come up, it's one of two things. Either they're not angry, it's not resonating, or they're not really tuned into the feeling. But here's, this is a way I think is funny where I know I'm like, whoa, I need to tap. Is like I think I'm calm and peaceful, but then I get two hangers stuck together, and I'm like, and I'm like, whoa, okay, woo, I think I'm a little angry. There's always indications like that we're angry. Or one time I had styrofoam peanuts that kept getting stuck to the front of my, and I'm like, whoa, okay, probably need to tap right now. It'll come up when you're ready to.
That's great. And, I can say, oh, I'm not angry. And yet when I really look at it, yeah, and that's such a great way to look for it. Like, how are you showing up in the world? If you're freaking out over two hangers being stuck together, that is a pretty good indication.
Yeah.
Something's going on.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's like, yeah, well, there's something below the surface there too. It's a great time to do it too. For those of us that have PMS and that, it's like, oh, okay, good time to tap, because that's just to me a potent time that anger can surface. So, yeah, and this is to say that too. This is the beauty of it to me too about this, the forbidden emotions piece is. So say you are, two hangers stuck together, and you're like, God, I'm losing my screws over two hangers. I used to go to such a place of guilt and feeling worse about myself. Now I literally go, whoa, need to tap. So it takes the edge off of feeling bad about myself and compounding the problem. It's like, I'm angry. I got something I'm angry about. I might not even know, but I can just tap. Oh, I'm angry. I don't even know why. Again, I keep going back to this word. It's so liberating. It's like, I get my feelings. Wow.
Yeah, and that's what this is all about, is liberating us from those energies and those reactions that aren't serving us, that are keeping us stuck, that are keeping us from feeling great in our bodies and getting out and shining in the world. It is liberating. And yeah, I love your sense of humor, by the way. You were just so much fun. I'm having so much fun with this conversation.
Every bit of it's happened.
It's awesome. Oh, well, I love this tool, and I know that you've just been so great contributing to this conversation with giving us permission to feel what we're feeling. And what came to me too was when you have a tool like this, then it's not so scary to allow yourself to feel what needs to come up so that you're not keeping it stuck in your body. It's like, oh, okay, I'm feeling it, acknowledging it, like you said, not feeling guilty, and I just pull out this tool and I go to the laundry room or wherever I have to go to do what I need to do so that it can move through.
Yeah, you brought up a great point, the lacking fear, because I think I told you early when when I had rage coming up and I did not have tapping, I used a baseball bat. I was afraid at times, like, whoa, this is so potent. I'm not at all now. Now I'm like, man, I tap and that's empowerment. I'm like, well, I got a feeling. I guess I better tap on it. Oh, I've got road rage going on. I think I'm angry. I should tap. It gives you such a sense of empowerment. Like the feelings don't have to overtake me. So thanks for bringing up that piece too. Yeah, I've definitely found it. I'm not afraid of my emotions now. It's like they come up and I can tap on them.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for this amazing conversation. And I know that you have extended your generosity and you've provided a free gift for all of the people listening. And that link is right below the video. I'm going to turn the conversation over to you and let you describe, explain what people can go grab and how they can get more of your magic and your wisdom.
Oh, thanks, darling. Yeah, the link is below, as you said, and it is called Forbidden Emotions, Your Hidden Power. It's just I made it a short PDF because I know we're all really busy. I know for myself, if I pull up a PDF and it's like 10 to 12, 30 pages, I'm like, oh, I start feeling overwhelmed. I could probably tap on it, but I'm like, oh, I don't have that much time to read through it. So I kept it short, and I kept like, it's a tapping 3 tapping scripts, and they are on the forbidden emotions like anger and rage, jealousy, and shame. Those 3, and I put anger and rage together, and then I put jealousy and guilt together because I don't really know anybody that feels jealous and at some point doesn't feel guilty about it as well. And then the shame piece to me, which is really potent, and it's literally just walking you through some tapping scripts. In the beginning of it, I talk a little bit about the rant tapping and how effective that can be to really, help take the edge off those. So I've written out the tapping scripts through you. I put karate chop, side of the eye, all that, so you know where to tap. And there's no wrong way to tap, but my hope is that it really kind of helps you start acknowledging these forbidden emotions, because there is so much power in them, and embracing them, then you find the good side of them. And one other little piece of this, as I tap through a lot of my own anger and inner rage, I've seen the productive side of this, and I'll tell a quick story here. When I was hiking with my dog one day, all of a sudden I hear her whimpering, and she's next to me, and I turn around, and there's 4 coyotes behind us. And I thought, they weren't after me, which I know, they're after my dog, but I was like, oh, this is a really good time to call on my inner rage and do my best possible mama bear imitation. And I don't suggest we get rid of these because they're not bad emotions, but I was like, man, it was so powerful. So I just did my best mama bear imitation and growled and called upon that inner anger and rage, and the coyotes scattered. So as we tap through these, those scripts, it can really help you see the upside of these emotions and how they can really be utilized to assist us. So I just wanted to throw that little piece in there.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. Yes, there's times when those energies and those emotions are really valuable. Yeah. So, yeah, being able to feel it, let it go, and then when you have to call on it, and so the coyotes just ran off, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, it was great. It's like, woo, they felt that. So good.
That rage. Good
they're like, we're not tapping on this. We're out of here.
Smart coyotes.
Right.
I wouldn't want to mess with you. That's good. Oh, this has been awesome, Marti. Thank you so much for being part of this summit, for sharing your story and what's really supported you in your life. I just really appreciate that you are in my universe and that you said yes and that you've been here today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be a part of it, and it's so great to connect with the kindred spirit.
I know. I feel that. And all of our listeners, thank you so much for being here, for choosing this time for yourself. And I invite you to stay tuned. We have more interviews to come, more great wisdom, out-of-the-box tools that will support you to create empowered embodiment. So until next time, bye for now. Bye, Marti.
Bye-bye. Thanks. Take care.